Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and good morning to all our American guests. And thank you very much for being so numerous today to the second edition of our second MeetCannon webinar of 2020. The exceptional situation generated by the COVID-19 pandemic in the past month, since February, moved us towards a different management of all our daily routines, jobs, habits. We had to define new communication tools to stay in touch with our existing and potential customers, with our business partners, with the raw material suppliers, with the trade media. This is the reason why we launched this new tool. And today, we run the second webinar, a live online meeting, a new tool flanking, or in this time replacing, classic events like trade fairs, congresses, seminars, open days, etc. The previous webinar ran in July on the subject of R&D policies run in cooperation with our clients was welcomed live by 100 guests during the two events, in the morning and in the afternoon, and the recorded session on YouTube was visited by nearly 500 viewers. In a few weeks from now, in November, we will run our first digital open house, 2 days of virtual meeting, during which we will discuss technically about 3 different market segments of the rigid polyurethane foam. Conceived for different time zones, this event will cover from the Far East countries to the west of the USA in 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. We will do it with live interactive webinars, like with recorded presentations, with one-to-one meetings with our experts. Meetings that you can book online on our website or on our social pages, where you also will find the dates, the teams, and all the organizational aspects. And, of course, it's free of charge. These will be technical meetings. We have the most qualified speakers about the subject that we will deal with. And we will try to keep these meetings free from marketing hype and sales promotion as much as possible. We hope with these new tools to continue the dialogue that we have always kept with our business partners and customers, and that has been so much influenced by, negatively of course, by the COVID-19 emergency, with all its tale of deadly queue for occupation, business, growth, and world stability. And enough for the presentation of this format. Let's get now into the core of today's event. We will talk about flexible polyurethane foam with an overview of production technologies fully focused on molded and slabstock foams. This event, we will have 7 Canon specialists with 2 special guests, Massimo Gilardi, Technical and Operation Manager of Toscana Gomma, which is one of the major Italian molders of flexible foams, and from Poland, we have the technical director of Pureco, Miroslav Pazeska, which is one of the largest producers of slabstock foam in Poland. We start with 2 colleagues from Canon Afros in a few seconds. We are here this afternoon with Massimo Castiglioni, Key Account Sales Manager of Canon Ergos, and Stefano Andreolli, Automotive Polyurethane Sales Manager of Canon Afros. With them, we will talk about the main aspects of the flexible molded polyurethane foam with a particular focus on the automotive industry, which is one of the most important users of polyurethanes. Please, let's have your questions using the chat on the right of your screen. Our specialist will answer at the end of the event to a selection of these questions according to the time that will be available without going too much long in our program. Massimo, can you summarize in a few minutes how do you see the current molded flexible foam market, possibly focusing on automotive?
You know, we are living in the COVID time, and it's not an easy time. We had in the last 2 weeks with some customers, tier 1 and car maker, some meeting, and we have seen that the order to the tier 1 are coming back, and they are coming back with very high number, more or less the same number of the pre-COVID time. It is the darkest, always darkest before the dawn. And we are following, and we see that there is a near future, and we are sure of this, that the things are moving and we will restart. So we have to be ready. There are a lot of studies talking about automotive, about the interest of consumer in advanced technology for automotive. The goal of this study are to answer some question, and the answer to this question help the company to prioritize and to better position their investment and their strategy. What we see in these days, there are mainly 5 arguments, but I would like to touch 4 arguments. One is the connectivity. Connectivity is not a big interest for the consumer. It's not a big issue for us to insert sensor, whatever, in our molds, and to foam it is not absolutely a problem for us. There is another question that is related to the multimodal mobility, and this could have an impact in the car for what is concerning the comfort, because we are talking about more people that are moving together. But there is really an hardest shift from mainly the West country, as fewer than 1 in 5 they use a multiple mode of single trip driving. So which are the 2 main subjects we see? Surely one is the autonomous vehicle. The demand is coming mainly from the West country, but due to the report of accident we had from the media, surely the people are more cautious about the safety. But in any case, it means for what is concerning the foam to have, okay, no dashboard, we know it, but the flexible foam will have an impact on MVH as well on the seats. It will be a more luxury car, we think. But really the main argument of today, of yesterday and tomorrow are the electrical vehicle. Also in US, where there are consistent barriers in the adoption of electrical vehicle still remain, this study brings to, let me say, a rapidly growth of people who most ask for an alternative engine in the new car. So for us, it means that we have to have a flexible way of producing, because still the traditional car remain, the gasoline remain in the short and medium term in the next years, but the electrical vehicle will come. So the car maker has to make a mix, as well the tier 1. So we have to ready to go in this direction as well.
And capture the opportunities deriving from
Yes.
this not so sudden shift, but steady.
The
shift.
number are not so high, and so there is still a trend that is moving up, but
In this
not rapidly.
perspective, Stefano, how do you see Canon approaching its offer and its adaptation to this change of needs in terms of manufacturing?
Well, first of all, we listen. We listen carefully to customers, raw chemical suppliers, and other experts to understand where the automotive industry is heading. We still see a future with a significant amount of polyurethane on board vehicles, even though the way polyurethane is formulated, foamed, and molded is changing and will change for sure. The rise of electric vehicles and autonomous driving, as Massimo said, is giving us some ideas. For instance, the frequencies to be dampened for the comfort of passengers are different in an electric vehicle than in a combustion engine car. Then we see differences or evolution in the interiors because electric cars have flat carpets, flat floors. And also there is a seek for more space inside the vehicle. So the foam pads for seating are becoming thinner. Last but not least, we have to remember that regulations about VOC are becoming more and more strict. So we don't have a crystal ball to understand what will be exactly the future, but at least here in Canon we have a very active and dynamic research and development center, which can adjust the configuration of our equipment to match the new needs of the automotive industry.
And in terms of these new needs, how do you see the developments that Canon is doing in the field?
Well, I can mention three main sectors involving flexible foams where we have a good success. Three examples. The first one is for sure acoustic foams. For the automotive. Canon is the world leader in the equipment for acoustic foams, which means products spanning from carpets to dash insulators to engine covers and to other acoustic soft trim parts. We provide for those products equipment turnkey, on turnkey base. That means foaming machines, of course, mixing heads, but also thermoforming machines, molds, and mold carriers. The second example is public transportation, in particular seating for trains and aircraft. Here Canon has developed a very interesting solution to process expandable graphite as flame retardant, solving the problem of release of sulfuric acid in a high pressure machine that compromise the quality of the foam. And this gives very significant advantages, also in terms of money saving to our customers. The third example is seating for cars. There we have our very good performing mixing head Canon AX that can mix up to 7 components. And also in this case, we can provide turnkey solutions according to customers' needs from the lowest to the highest productivity.
So it's readiness at its maximum level, as I understand. Max, how do you see the, in terms of competitivity, your feeling about the future needs to remain competitive in this field?
It is really an interesting question. The Canon ability to converge our expertise in a dosing unit, mixing head, mold, presses, and different technology really allow us to, let me say, invent, innovate, evolve, and also optimize our capability and those of our products. What I mean, we have seen the market trend, and we see the necessity of flexibility, and this brings us to integrate, for instance, in our city line, a fully automatic zero-time mold change. From the other side, for instance, recently in the MVH, there is a request of reducing cost to be very competitive from our customer, because you see the scenario, we are not talking only high-level car, we are talking also low and medium-level car. There the price is really is the target. And so there we have a fully automatic line, zero operator in the MVH, for instance, where the margin is really very low, much lower than the seats. And finally, we are approaching also the technology. For instance, we started in the late 90s with the foam and film technology, where we are replacing the release agent with a film. And we are now on this track. We have many of plants working with foam and film technology in MVH, and now we are transferring this technology in the seating line, not only with the film, but also working on the molds, and moving also from automotive to other business, other field.
So it's a revival, and not only of the foam and film, but also of other former techniques that have been adapted to the new needs and to the new tools. Can you give us some examples of recent plants made with innovation?
For instance, in a few weeks' time, we will have in automotive a full plant zero operator working for MVH with foam and film technology. In this case, the film is a release agent, a stick on the foam. We are not only following with the foam and film, as I told you before, the automotive. We have recently supplied the same type of application, foam and film, only for the release agent phase and not sticking on the foam, for rigid foam for boiler, for industrial boiler. We can say that for this specific technology, we have plant from USA to Japan. We are now with one of our customers approaching the mold release agent free solution. And furthermore, I would like to mention the last one, because it's one car, M240, is a Maserati car. The model is just launched on the market, is the MC20, where we have supplied the full turnkey system, including dosing unit molds, to make the dashboard of the car.
So that's interesting, because you approach the problem from the point of view of the green aspect in terms of elimination of release agents, and also coupling a clean process with economy. Because
you know that also there was the fifth argument that I did not touch, is the circular economy. And so the green message is really a key point for the future, for us and for the young generation.
Stefano, in these terms, how do you think Canon can offer a winning plus to its customers? What is the competitive advantage that we give to the customers?
Well, further to what Massimo just said, that is very comprehensive with good examples of turnkey solutions that we have provided, I would like to underline our competences and our activities in mixing technologies. Because mixing heads at the end are the heart of a polyurethane plant processing flexible foams. Let me just mention three of the main mixing heads we have for these kind of applications. One is the AX multi-component mixing head, which I mentioned already before, with the target to make seats for cars.
With a multi-component
up
formulation,
to 7 components,
yeah.
Exactly. So dual harness and a lot of flexibility in terms of handling of different formulations. Then we have the Canon EGAX, that is the system I mentioned before for the process of expandable graphite as a flame retardant. And last but not least, the FPL SR, which are very well known mixing heads, which can give very big and very small shots for integral skin and flexible foam.
That's very interesting, Massimo and Stefano, because you gave us some interesting highlights on one of the areas which is most interesting for Canon in terms of business, because the automotive is important, and in terms of innovation, because all these requests, all these needs feed our R&D laboratory with new jobs, new tasks, new targets to be achieved, and that's what we are currently doing both for the wet side and the hard and the dry side of your business. Please stay around, because our guests will have the possibility to present their questions through the chat they have on the right-hand side of their screen, and you will be able to reply to these questions at the end of this session. For the time being, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
As a second guests of our session of the afternoon, we have live here. Yes, it's true. It's Maurizio Corti, technical Canon corporate director of the Plastics Technology division, and online from Pittsburgh, from Cranberry in Pennsylvania, we have Marco Rigobello, sales vice president of Canon USA. Are you with us, Marco?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, Max.
Very good, loud and clear. Okay. We will see with them two aspects of the molded flexible foam. The metering and mixing equipment, taking care of the wet aspect of the job, and the polymerization equipment constituting the dry part. Maurizio, 2 minutes ago, Stefano told us that the main added value given by Canon to its customers is related with mixing technology. What is Canon positioned regarding mixing technology for flexible foams?
Max, as you know, mixing is our mission and our main skill. I am still managing what is related to the mixing head, the mixing technology, and what about the need of our customers. For flex foam in general, we can speak about the capability to mix between 20 grams per second up to 10 kilograms per second. What is related to flex foam is the possibility to use two and more than two components, as Stefano has already told. The mix head, the AX22, for example, is done for 7 components. What is installed on the mix head, again for flex foam, is the possibility to change the color, to have injectors specifically for the colors, and we can change the color on flight. That means from shot to shot, we pass from one color to the other without any residual from the previous shot. We can use these self-recirculating injectors also for adding a catalyst, for example. That is another application. And we have on the mixing head on board a fast switching valve that permit to us to change from one component to the other in the fastest way. What is important for our customer and what is important also for our market is to have the possibility to move as faster as possible the mixing head in the self-cleaning shot. Let me say that our biggest models, they move one stroke within 300 milliseconds, and the smallest sizes, they are below 100 milliseconds, so very fast shot. We have a good repeatability. Repeatability is fundamental for our customers because they want to make the same weight per shot repeated along the shift, along the days, and so on. And moreover, we have a very big number of shots before maintenance. For example, a recent report give to us the capability to guarantee that maintenance can be done within 1,500,000 shots, and the life of the mixing head are reaching about 10 million shots. This is what we are working on, and obviously, as Stefano has already mentioned, we are working also in the filler today, especially because solid fillers are replacing the liquid fillers for fire retardancy, and this is an important aspect of our new applications.
And what about slabstock foams?
Slabstock and blocks, we are still operating in low pressure. That means stirring mixing. With stirring mixing, we are able to provide mixing head up to 7 components into the mixing chamber. The injectors, they are self-recirculating, so we can guarantee the absence of pre-flow and after-flow during the foaming of the blocks. This can be used also for slabstock, but what I want to underline is that we can provide to this type of mix head high pressure, or let me say medium pressure adding of the components, and we have the capability of using medium pressure also for premixing. Medium pressure means 40-60 bar during the premix dispersion of the chemistry before reaching the mixing head. This is helpful for the cellulation. Cells are very small, very homogeneous, and we have the possibility to add gases, for example, carbon dioxide, that can be used in supercritical conditions.
So these are, between molded and slabstock, numerous advantages that we can give to customers, as I understand well: speed, precision, repeatability, and reliability, which is quite important. On the other side of the ocean, in the US, Marco, before entering in technical details, can you tell us something on the market in your region? How do you see the flexible foam market for both slabstock and molded in North America and in the countries controlled by American OEMs?
Yes, thank you for your question, Max. So obviously we have to distinguish between markets, because there are certain markets that they are facing like a sort of revival, and others like Stefano and Massimo said before, that are slowing down. Obviously the main slowdown that we see is in automotive. But the pandemic in these crazy times is also fostering, let me say, certain other markets. So not only the logistics and the internet, etc., but also, for example, the market in furniture. We see a revival for both the slabstock, the block, and also the molded foam in furniture. Many people, many employees are working from home, and while being at home, they are setting up their own home office. So actually, they are buying products, and they are buying seats, they are buying couches, they are buying pieces of furniture. So we see that the furniture business is growing actually. Then let me say that flexible foam is used also in a niche market that unfortunately is also growing. That is the one of the medical equipment. As you know, hospitals, but generally speaking, any let's say medical offices, they have also dedicated seats or beds or wheelchairs, etc., that they require some cushionings, or they require like armrest or headrest, that sometimes they are made also with a high skin foam. So that's more or less is the picture that I wanted to give about the flexible foam in the United States.
So I understand that there is quite an important participation of the polyurethane industry to the war against the COVID-19 when it's a matter of being hospitalized or being at home in a bed. And it's is the great influence of viscoelastic foams which makes the difference in comfort and health as well.
You are correct. And let me say that it's also difficult for us as a manufacturer to understand because customers, they might produce seats for automotive, and in the same line, they can produce also seats for furniture or medical devices. So we don't really know which portion of their equipment is dedicated to one or the other market.
Clear. We heard before from Stefano and Massimo the sound insulation part of the business, which is one of the most interesting applications of flexible foam in automotive. What is the US vision in these terms? So where do you see a possible development for Canon to meet its customer needs in sound insulation for automotive?
Sure. Sound insulation is the key to improve the perceived quality of a car. So basically, a person is sitting in his car and is listening about what's going on in his car. So the sound deadening or the reduction of noise that is inside the cockpit of the car is key to increase, and I repeat myself, this perceived quality. I think that there are three main areas. Obviously, the most used one is the backfoaming of the interior, because they don't only provide a soft touch, but they provide also an actual sound deadening. Then obviously the reduction of the noise could be achieved injecting foam in several other parts of the cars, and one of these is what is called the MVH foam. That is a kind of a flexible foam. This foam is injected directly into the chassis of the car, and then obviously the isolation of the engine compartment that could be achieved using engine covers or any other molded flexible foam to isolate the noise coming from the engine. Give me just 1 second that I wanted to link, let's say, this to what Massimo just said, because what we see is that also here in North America, and probably even more than other locations around the world, electrical vehicles are playing a very important role. And electrical vehicles require a different kind of sound deadening or noise isolation. And they enhance, let's say, the use of flexible foam in any of their parts, especially this MVH foam.
And I think that in a certain term, the last one you mentioned in the car, the engine covers, gives me the opportunity to attach another question, which is fire resistance, which is also required in an engine cover. How do you see it in the US in these days, in these months?
Yes, it's very important, and how this, let's say, flame retardant or resistant to fire is achieved is a key for us to develop new technologies, because it could be used like with liquid flame retardant pre-blended into the polyur, or with expandable graphite. And this expandable graphite is let's say, probably is picking up, is more and more used. Canon has developed and already implemented several plants that they use expandable graphite, and I think that we can say something on this technology.
which is useful for both rigid and flexible foams, of course.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, the only, obviously, there is a peculiarity on the high pressure molded foam with expandable graphite. That is how to avoid to damage the flakes of the expandable graphite.
Yes.
It is easier, with a low pressure. Is a little bit more complex and challenging on a high pressure.
I think we can come back on this subject later. Thank you for the moment. Maurizio, did Canon have recent developments related with the mixing heads utilized in flexible foam production?
Yes. We continue to develop our technology. What I would like to underline is that today we have available specific injectors that are passive injectors, so they are simple to use and lower in cost than the active injectors, and they have the capability to withstand with a very low pressure drop changing of the flow rate up to 100%. So we double the flow rate and the pressure drop at the injector is within 10 bars. This is important for the changing of the flow rate and the changing of the chemistry. What we have again is the possibility to control not only the laminarity at the beginning of the shot, but we prevent the splashing of at the beginning of the shot, and this is something new that we developed and we patented. Finally, what I would like to underline and to let me say, speak about is the so-called talking mixing head. Talking why? Because we have the possibility to install up to 25 different sensors on a mixing head, and these sensors are giving to us the possibility to monitor shot by shot what is happening on the mixing head. So we can monitor a drift of the mixing head during the working shot by shot, and we can obviously detect if there is a drifting of the mixing head performances during the life of and making preventive maintenance.
You mean measuring mechanical aspects of the process?
We can measure fluidic and mechanical aspect of the process on the mixing head and
in the mixing head inside.
In the mixing head inside, and this was surprising also myself because is a different way to see the performing of the mixing head instead of measuring, let me say, distant characteristics that are typically measured on the dosing unit. We can measure directly on the mixing head, and this is something that will be developed together with our customers, because obviously the problem is how to log all these, let me say, measuring data and how to analyze properly these measuring data that are related to the process, not only to the mixing head.
So you have made a head that can forecast or preview a possible failure and advance a warning.
Not only the failure. For example, we can, let me say, control the calibration of the process that is important for every customer.
Can you elaborate a bit on what Marco just said on metering graphite loaded fillers, loaded polyols?
Yes, what we are working on is the possibility to have on board of the mixing head the capability to switch on and off the solid components that we can use on the mixing head. This is important, for example, for graphite, because we evidenced that we are able to do not destroy the graphite during the use of the metering unit, and we can reach a good quality of the flexible foam up to 30% of graphite into the total of the
total volume.
Yes.
The total weight of the injection.
Yes.
Which is quite a lot.
Quite a lot. Sometimes it's not necessary, but this is what we are able to do.
Very good. I think we extracted some interesting aspects of the development of both metering and mixing and the polymerization equipment for some non-standard foams and for foams which are difficult to be processed.
Yes.
We ask our visitors online to write on the right hand side of their screen their questions, so on the chat, so we can answer to them at the end. You stay around, Marco. We will ask you some answers if there are questions for you, and I thank you for Maurizio for the information you gave us, especially the last one on this new head is quite important and quite interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now let me introduce you two of our colleagues of Canon Viking. They are online from Stockport, near Manchester, in the UK. Jonathan Reiner is the sales and marketing manager of Canon Viking. He's the guy raising the head. And Neil Holt is the technical manager of Canon Viking. Let me add a few words before interviewing them. Canon Viking has been the second established polyurethane equipment manufacturer in the world back in 1958. They started their activity and they are today part of the Canon Group for many years. In these more than 60 years, they have developed a series of innovative slabstock technologies, installing worldwide more than 800 plants in 140 countries. And most of these plants are still in perfect running condition. Jonathan, can you introduce briefly the slabstock technology of Canon Viking to our guests?
Hi, Max.
Hi.
Can you hear me from this side here?
Yes, there is some echo, but I think we can manage.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I hope.
First of all, thank you for the start then about Viking. Yeah, we are a company of 65 people based here at Canon Viking in Manchester, in the UK, and we're fully focused and dedicated on polyurethane slab stock and foam block industry. We focus as a company on comfort foams, so foams for sofa, for mattresses, for the furniture at home. We also focus on technical foams, which is flexible foam as well as rigid foam. And we also focus, of course, on latest developments with raw materials and the environment as it affects the PU world. We have in-house within Canon Viking experience in low pressure technology. We also have vast experience in what we call partial high pressure. So we talk here of isocyanates on the slabstock machine and the water, the low viscosity lines at high pressure and the rest at the low pressure. And then on our high-end machines for like technical foams, what we call a full high pressure technology machine. We're the only company which is supplying a complete equipment package. So we start with single block machines, with box foaming machines, and then we have a range of continuous machines, including max foam machines with a trough. We also have max foam elite machine, which is a combination machine of trough and liquid laydown for the technical foams, as well as our C-Max machine, which is full high pressure for polyethers and polyester and specialty grades of foam. We also introduced, and UMAX were a part of this, we introduced cardio. So we were the first with liquid CO2 high pressure technology for slab stock foams. And then in recent years, we've also been involved with many of our customers to supply not only the foaming slab stock machine, but also the chemical tank farm, the storage for all the raw material side. A key area of our business in the last 20 years has been the control systems. So as the level of sophistication has increased, the level of accuracy needed for the high volumes used in slab stock, the control system is a key part of this. And we have a system called Omega, which is an in-house development, which is supported by a team of 4 engineers here for control and online processing of all the machines. Because our machines last for so many years and we have so many in the market, and the changing world of flexible PU, a large area of our business is also the upgrading of existing machines. So we add additional metering units. Sorry. Yes.
We are hearing some echo from your side. Can you move a little bit more the microphone close to your mouth? No, it's a matter of microphone a bit closer to your mouth. Yeah, probably this can reduce the echo. Thank you. Go on. You switched off.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, good.
One of the key areas is the upgrading of existing machines. We have seen in recent years many new types of polyol added for flexible PU, for visco foam, for memory foam, for graphite foams, all these other kinds of foams used in like mattresses and sofas. So a large part of our business is upgrading existing machines. Many of our customers cannot stop a machine and don't have the capability in terms of space, in terms of room of replacing the machine. So we upgrade metering lines on the machines, the mixing with the controls, with things like mass flow meters. And again, a key area is to have reduced waste from the foam block. So our customers are all looking to make the block as tall as possible, as flat as possible. So key areas are development on the machine to reduce potential waste. Then on top of this, in 2018, we introduced a new machine to the range, which we call the Eco Slab. The Eco Slab is a small sized machine, a small capacity machine, yet capable of producing comfort foam as well as technical foams to meet different market demands.
So if I understand well, this is a machine that can be used as a startup machine in a new company or in addition to existing ones for particular productions. Is that correct?
Exactly. This is a machine which is less than 20 meters in length, so versus our larger range of continuous machines is much smaller in size.
What is the longest machine you ever made?
Well, we're making a machine is not for flexible, but is for rigid foam, and we have it is going through the factory at the moment is 80 meters long.
80, and this is only
80.
And this is only 20.
And this is only 20 meters long.
So
yeah, this is like a quarter of the size.
Yeah.
Or let's say versus our like standard machines, it's something like 2/3 of the size. We have a lower output on the machine. We have a lower foaming running speed. Yet, because of the technology, it enables us to still produce full-sized foam blocks. And the machine is combined using max foam trough technology, so for comfort foams, but also liquid laydown technology to enable the production of technical and specialty grades. So we've already started to deliver this machine to some of our customers who are migrating from, let's say, box foaming, from single block foaming to this machine, but also we've had a couple of customers buy this machine, just as you said before, Max, as a supporting machine for niche, specialty, low volume foams.
You just described your latest development. What is the next development? What is the next innovation you will introduce to fulfill our customer needs in the slabstock technology?
We are focusing on 4 different areas. So we have a target of 4 different areas. One is environmental, which is obviously affecting us all. And we see from the environmental side, obviously there's issues with raw materials, with regenerated products like polyols, so we're looking at that. We also see an increase in demand in cardio, our liquid CO2 system, and also the process of handling fillers with a liquid CO2 system, which we can do with our cardio. Another area we see big development is the controls. So we're now with Omega 4.0, which is the latest generation. And with this, we are linking the foaming machine. We're also linking the chemical storage tank farm. And we're linking also to post-processing and management systems like SAP or Sophie or My Foam Plant, which are products out on the market to integrate the, let's say, like a slabstock factory, okay? Another key area where we focus is we see an increased focus on the conversion of the chemicals. So we're continually working, and Neil will touch on this next, later, sort of, when he speaks, on the block profile, on the block shape, and linking this back in with the controls of the machine to self-adjust to optimize the block shape. And then a continual thing, which is always going on, I think, in all of the Canon companies, is the foam quality. So we're obviously working all the time on the cell structure of the foam, on pinholes, on voids, and also partial high pressure and full high pressure.
That's very interesting. Thank you, Jonathan, for all your answers. And I would like to talk to Neil now. So if you can switch the microphone to Neil with COVID precautions. Thank you. Anti-COVID precautions. Hi, Neil.
Hi, Max. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
With more than 60 years of experience, as I said before, and a lot of customers worldwide, we can position Viking as a leader in the slabstock market. Can you highlight, can you resume the most important improvements in this technology implemented by Viking and the new insights you're looking into to develop for the future of slabstock technology?
I think most important, I think the cardio system, as Jonathan touched on before, it was developed over 25 years ago with Canon and Viking, and it's still, I think today, the best way to produce CO2 blown foam with fillers, melamine, calcium carbonate. It's still the best. But over the last 10 years with Canon Viking, we've introduced the principle of partial high pressure and high pressure with silicone air nucleation. But more importantly, we've seen an increase where controls have become more prominent, where customers are requesting more information from their machine to do with cost monitoring, quality control, and traceability, which is basically Industry 4.
Yeah.
Regarding current developments, we've recently completed a machine which had an automatic conveyorized sidewall tilting system for HR foams, and the latest development, which is actually on test at the moment, is a laser profiling system, which is linked in closed loop control with a flat top system. This is very promising, and we're looking also to implement this on conversion systems as well.
For the non-slabstock guests that we have today online at our webinar, can you just give an idea of what is the importance of a correct profile of the block in terms of money at the end of the month?
Certainly. If you don't have a good rise profile, and you can see behind Max now, you have the CO2 image, that is a pretty good profile with the RS system on the sides. If you have a dome, which is more like, shall we say, a loaf of bread, all that top section in itself is scrap. You cannot use that predominantly for the mattress industry. So basically, the RS system behind you is trying to pull the sides up because the loss or the dome is produced by the friction on the sides. So what you see behind Max there is the RS pulling the sides up, which flattens the dome, which saves on more scrap.
And this makes a lot of difference at the end of the day. Thousands of dollars and euros and pounds. Yeah. Yes. Give us an highlight on any special recent job done by Canon Viking, or a big plant, or a new acquisition.
One of my favorites was a few years ago, or about 18 months ago, we did a polyester and polyether Max Foam Elite, which is a full high pressure system with polyester polyols, which for those who aren't aware is the polyester 25,000 centipoise in viscosity, very thick. So you need the high pressure additives to inject to penetrate that high viscosity polyols. I'd seen before, but me personally hadn't actually worked on. So that for me was something nice to see. And it actually, from there, we secured another order last year for another machine, which is going through the factory at the moment. Since then, we've also looked at a high output device for liquid laydown on MDI-based viscoelastic foams, which basically has no foam buildup. And this usually is an issue with trough, or you have the issue with trough, you have buildup, or you have the issue with overlapping when you do a traverse liquid laydown.
What is the highest throughput you can obtain in one of your machines, the largest?
We've just quoted one now, which was an eye-opener for me, which was 400 kilos a minute on a polyol. Just for the polyol.
Just for the polyol.
Just for the polyol.
Which is a nice throughput at the end of the tunnel when you
yes.
when you make the foam. Very fast. I guess it's a quite fast line.
It is. It's a maximum speed up to 8 meters a minute.
8 meters a minute. How would you describe, without repeating what Jonathan told us before, how would you describe the range of, not more on products, but rather on services available at Canon Viking for their customers?
Basically, we just don't make foam machines. Over the years I've been here, we've done a lot of other projects where we've produced inline blending, which is strange because at the end of the projects we didn't produce any foam at all. It was basically a automotive customer didn't want to buy blended systems and wanted to produce their own blend themselves. So we deal with everything neat. So our streams can be up to, say, 60 streams. The largest we've done has been 52, which went into Russia. So, but from a services point of view, we also do tank farm design, along with the supply of equipment such as the powder handling systems, efficient inline blending, and also the control systems which envelope all of that under one control system.
That's very comprehensive and very interesting. Okay, we are running a bit out of time. I thank you very much for your presence. By the way, for our guests, these two guys, personally and on behalf of their colleagues in Stockport, UK, bear an incredible amount of technical and marketing experience in flexible foam. And it's a pleasure to talk with them with this specific concept and this specific subject, because they know more than the devil. Thank you very much. Stay with us. We will have some questions for you at the end of this meeting. Thank you for the moment. Ciao.
Thank you.
And now is the time of our customers. We have two clients today with us, and we are glad to welcome Massimo Gilardi, Technical and Operation Manager of Toscana Gomma, one of the major Italian molders of flexible foams, and Miroslav Pawecka, Production Director of Pureco, a large Polish producer of slabstock foams. Welcome, benvenuti.
Welcome. Welcome.
Mr. Gilardi, can you describe the product evolution of molded flexible foams, especially regarding the automotive sectors, in terms of densities, hardness, fire resistance, the state of the art and the future outlook of the potential consequences that this will have on metering, mixing, and polymerization equipment?
Yes, so good morning, good afternoon. The evolution in the last years, it's a little bit clear, is to have more complexity on pieces, to have more functionality on pieces. That means that if some years ago double harness was the plus for a piece, nowadays we are talking and we are producing triple harness in the same piece, and also density are trying to go down. But mainly to differentiate between each pieces. That is, we are talking about to have a density and the construction for the front seat cushion, the driver one, different from the passenger, and the back is another story. Density trend is to go down in some way, but to stay with good performance. And in terms of machinery, this is something that is very related to, especially the wet part, because the trend is to have flexibility on the machine. That means to produce more than one type of product or type of foam in the same line. That's one. To be speed, to change during the same mold space, to change the recipe or to change the type of output. And the last but not least is to have reliability. That means not to stop the line, to be very quick to change mold, for instance, on this kind of demand. This is for the perspective of automotive especially. That is very demanding regarding quality, service, and so on. Regarding the fire, you asked me that. In the moment, there is no particular demand, that means novelties regarding the past. What is new, or not new, but stringent more and more, is the demand to have VOC-free pieces or foam or material in general.
So these are more not so stringent, but current demands from the market. You have been in this business for many years. What has been the main change you have seen in the product feature and performance when you started and today, in terms of simple car cushion?
Is the increasing of complexity. When I started, we were talking only, for instance, of double harness, and this was a plus for a piece. Nowadays, as I told you before, it's normal, and you are asked for and producing also triple harness. That means, for the perspective of the producer, to be able to provide that in terms of chemicals. And also from the machinery point of view, that is customer, but also as Canon his job, to be very flexible, accurate, and complex. And the pieces are becoming more complex for this reason.
So this complexity can be probably one of the major problems in this near future. You may have heard a few minutes ago our Maurizio Corti talking about a new mixing head which has sensors from 1 up to 25 sensors inside and can provide an incredible number of information to the foamer in terms of reliability of the head. You that have tested all the Canon heads since I remember, so too many years ago, I'm afraid. You that have tested all these heads, can you elaborate a little bit on these advantages that might come from this new head, which you don't know, by the way, but
yes, we heard about that today. I think it's something new and it's something good because going in the right direction of our world, that is to be reliable, so to be able to detect when a mixing head or something can fail before that fails. And so to be able to have the countermeasure before, not to stop the line, for instance, and this. And also from the point of view of the way of using the mixing head is a good news because you can really monitoring the behavior of the mixing head. And this translated to the product means that you can have a more consistent product piece by piece. That is another demand of the automotive right now.
So this is interesting.
Very constant quality and this kind of speeches.
So we will have one of these heads very early in your factory to be tested and to be.
We hope so. To go on with the tradition we have since years.
To continue that tradition, yes. You are a nice testing field for Canon because your production is large and very accurate. We see a trend towards the verticalization of production of car seats. More seats producers are foaming now their cushions rather than outsourcing them, or at least a little bit more than in the past. I don't know if this is an important move or a relative move, but how do you forecast the future of Tier 2 suppliers in this segment?
It's a very challenging question you pose. Yes, what you say is right. I don't perceive that is a real trend. It's something that is happening with the speed more or less high. This is something very hard to know. But yes, for the future, for the Tier 2 in this case, is depending also from the perspective of the OEMs. Means how they want to deal with the seats. If they want to give all the responsibilities and all the knowledge in brackets to the Tier 1, for sure the people that are verticalized have some advantage. If they want they want to continue to have knowledge and maybe to have more knowledge on the seat in all these components, and foam is one of that, I think Tier 2 can play a role because we can be sometimes very flexible, very much more speedy in decision instead of big organization.
We might have a problem with the connection. We just recovered Mr. Pałecka from Poland, and we have lost Mr. Gilardi.
Sorry?
No? Okay, you are still there?
I'm not here?
Okay, now you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Now,
sorry, I was not aware.
Now you're back, yes.
Okay, so for the perspective of Tier 2, I restart from there. To have innovation, to be specialized, and to combine this material knowledge with a very good machinery in terms, as we say before, that is a little bit a fil rouge on the speech, to be very flexible on the plant and on the production to fulfill very different demand of different OEM, because they are not all the same.
Yeah, their different needs and behavior might mean a lot.
And also state of mind, demand request, if you want.
Purchasing policies and so on. Mr. Pawelska, welcome back. We lost you for a few minutes, but
yes, sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I asked Mr. Gilardi what are the most interesting developments in the field of molded foams as far as densities, hardness, and fire resistance. I ask you the same question for the slabstock foam, because you are one of the most important suppliers of the furniture and bedding industry, not only in Poland, but we know you export a lot. So densities, hardness, fire resistance, and the consequence that these changes might have on the metering, mixing, and curing lines.
Okay, so Pureco produced foam from 10 years, yes. We produce foam from density 14 to 40. The most popular during these 10 years is the same trend. The most popular density is 25, and the people want also a hardness foam. It's like 4-5 kilopascal. About HR foam, for example, it's about 10% global production. And the flame retardant is dedicated only for the British market. So it's not a lot, about 50% Polish capacity of the foam. From the Canon, good mixing, good metering is very important for us, because we can make a repeatable product, good distribution of the density, good distribution of the hardness. So this is today market, foam market in Poland.
And how do you see, if any, I don't know if this applies to you, but electric cars feature a flatter base than the conventional thermal engine cars. These flatter base represent probably a further option for flexible foam cut in slabs from block rather than using the molded ones. Do you have already an interest from the car industry in this area, or is it early for Poland for the moment?
At the moment, I don't feel any interest from this car industry. Polish market is rather furniture market. But in the future, if we've got any request for this, why not? We've got good equipment. We can make this foam for the automotive car industry. But not now, in the future.
Okay, so you are ready to do it, and you only expect some request. I have the last question for both of you. Mr. Gilardi, you have been a customer of Canon Afros for more time than I like to remember, probably for more than 30 years. What is the competitive advantages that you found in working with Canon?
The advantage in this long cooperation we had is the open mind of mindset of Canon, that is to be interested in what the customer want or need or think, and to cooperate together. This is one. And also this attitude, competence, research you made, and also speed of in response and development. That is more or less the same thing for us.
Mr. Pawelski, you have two Canon Viking plants in operation in 10 years of life. One of them, by the way, is a cardio machine with liquid CO2. What did this technology specifically bring to your company as an advantage?
So we've got three lines from the Canon. Yes, the first line was in the first factory. After that, we bought the second one. After that, the cardio, and we got good cooperation together. If I got some problem, I can call and we resolve in the minute this problem. I like the metering units. I like the operating system, Omega system. Canon helped me to develop new products. So for me, Canon is good company.
Gentlemen, how can I thank you enough for your contributions? You gave invaluable hints in this connection to our webinar, and I hope I see you again very soon in another of our virtual and digital occasions. And for the moment, stay there because we might have some questions which involve also your activity. So thanks for the moment and don't leave us. The question and answer session can be open now. We are waiting from our Well, now we have all our 4 connected guests on top of us. Thank you for being here again. We have a question regarding electric car, which could go to Massimo Castiglioni. Electric car, always 4 seats for each auto. Always foam, no changes.
No, there are, there are 4 and 2 seats, always foam. We see always foam, no change.
Always foam, no change. There is a question very interesting, the development in the utilization of a new material as filler in the foam. Graphite, which are, I cannot see the rest of the line, please, Regia. Which are the advantages of adding graphite in formulation? One question from Indian market. Maurizio or Stefano?
Well, the advantage is that graphite is a mineral filler and it can replace flame retardants that are currently in use, but will be soon phased out for environmental and health reasons, like the halogenated flame retardants. And it is a quite or relatively less expensive solution than others available, like reinforcing the fabric that covers the seats for public transportation.
We have a question to which we cannot answer now, but it says there is a request to see a video about continuous forming machine. We don't have it here in the moment, but we will send this video very close as soon as possible, and we will contact the person who made this request. We have a question for Viking. How much is the cost of a complete slabstock plant today compared with 20 years ago? How much it costs the better technology in this production process?
With regard to the cost of the foaming machine,
obviously, what we've seen over the years is increase in technologies with regard to features like accuracy of metering units, with controls, with motors, with mass flow meters. If you look at a typical cost for a small continuous machine, is something like now €300,000 for the basic machine without many of the options, and obviously it's custom made, so they change from case to case. When you look back in history, you know, in the relation, the increase in the cost is not so high. But what many of our customers actually forget, but many of our bigger clients now focus on this more and more, is the cost in raw material on a continuous slab stock machine is huge. I give you an example that if you look at the typical cost of 1 kilo of polyurethane for an average formulation is something like €3 per kilo. If you look at one of our, let's say, medium-sized, larger machines, we are running typically at 300 kilo per minute. So you're looking at a chemical cost of something like €900 per minute. In 1 hour is €50,000 plus in 1 hour. And some of our bigger customers are producing 7 to 8 hours per day for the very large client. So the cost of the foam machine in relation to raw material is peanuts.
So you mean that a 10% difference in price between a very cheap machine and a very good machine can be absolutely amortized in a matter of months,
No time.
if even you can give an advantage of less 0.5% of better mixing or less scrap due to the flatter block.
Exactly. We have seen in recent years many projects to fine-tune the production on the continuous machines. But so we've had customers move from, let's say, static walls on the machine to moving side walls, okay? And they've invested hundreds of thousands of euro to upgrade the machine to have moving sidewalls. And this will save maybe 1 to 2% in raw material on the side of the block. And they openly say to us that they pay back this investment in months, 6, 7 months, because of the let's say, key factor is to maximize the raw material cost.
Yeah. I have a question which I could give to one of our colleagues here, but I prefer to give it to Mr. Gilardi. A viewer says dual, triple, different hardnesses, 7 components to mix in your head dedicated to car seat production. There will be soon the 10 components, or what else? How do you see it?
This is linked also to the chemical you want to use and what you are currently using. 7, I think, is a good number. 10, I think, from the perspective also of a mixing head, is not so easy to make, and the dimension and all what is linked together, pumps and so on, I think is not so easy to handle. Maybe 2 mixing heads of 7 components can be a good compromise solution. But again, it's very linked to what is the chemical behind and what is behind of that.
So you don't see it as a very soon problem, a very close problem for the moment?
I don't see a very soon problem.
I see I read a question.
From our perspective and what we are currently doing, but again.
6, 7 components is good enough for the moment.
For the moment, I think yes.
Which is
or
not
to add something else as another mixing head.
Yeah, which is not the case of a Viking machine. What did you say before, Neil? What is the largest number of components you were able to meter altogether?
We've done 52.
52 components.
52.
Merry Christmas. Okay, very good, very interesting. I have a question here which I don't understand very well. Mixing head with sensors. Have you tested it? Have you tested it?
Yes, yes. So we have tested it. We
Yes.
cannot speak about something that we have not tested. Otherwise, we are fired. We have a model that has a few sensors that are just used to measure the stress of the self-cleaning rod. This is available, well tested, working from more than 1 year, so it's possible to have this one. But obviously, we tested also all the other sensors, and when necessary, when helpful, we can add them because the sensorization of the mixed head is something that we can compose depending from the mixed head and depending from the need of the customer.
When you say it has been working 1 year, you mean industrially working?
Yes, yes, yes.
At the customer?
At the customer.
Okay. Any other question? Maybe Marco, would you like to add something from, not as a question, but as a comment to this day, to the subject that we have treated? For instance, can you tell us one interesting inquiry you got from the States, one strange one related with flexible foams, or strange in terms of not so common? I don't hear you. I don't hear you. I don't hear you.
Yes, I'm sorry. My mistake. I didn't unmute the microphone.
Yeah.
In North America, it's pretty common to use foam pillows, and for your beds, let me say. And most of them, they are manufactured with very high productive lines in a molded way, so with molds on a racetrack lines. And one of the strangest questions was to use all possible kind of fillers. Copper flakes, they call them in strange ways, like obviously expandable graphite is one of them, diamond black. So they are all attempts to not only reduce, obviously, and improve the fire retardancy, but also they are trying to get rid of the heat generated by the body. So there are a lot of attempts on using a different kind of fillers that they might be aggressive or abrasive toward the pumps, mixing heads, injectors, etc. So we are catching up with this and offering different solutions in order to allow the customer to use those peculiar fillers.
Okay, I think that with this question we can end this session of the afternoon of our second webinar. First of all, I thank very much all the present and all the five persons which are looking at us from the top of our heads here. Grazie mille. If you have any other question, please post it by email on plastic@canon.com or follow us on LinkedIn, and you will have this recorded webinar on YouTube in a few days. I remind you, in November, we meet for a 2-day virtual open house on rigid foams. So all those who are interested in rigid foam, please subscribe on our forms which are online. It's free of charge. We don't send you an invoice. And for the time being, I thank everybody and see you in November. Grazie, arrivederci.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.